Right now, somewhere in the world, you are waiting. Maybe for a bus, maybe for a meeting to end, maybe for sleep to come. And in that waiting, something uncomfortable creeps in. A restlessness, an itch you cannot scratch, a feeling that you should be doing something, anything, other than this. That feeling has a name. And it might be the reason civilization exists. Boredom is not laziness. It is not emptiness. Boredom is one of the most volatile psychological states a human being can enter. And for most of recorded history, nobody wanted to talk about it. It felt too embarrassing, too trivial, too small. But when researchers finally turned their instruments toward it, what they found underneath was extraordinary. Boredom is not the absence of stimulation. It is the hunger for meaning. Think about that for a second. Every time you have stared at a wall and felt that gnawing restlessness, what your brain was actually doing was scanning the environment and concluding, nothing here is worth my attention. Nothing here is connected to something that matters. And that conclusion, that neurological alarm bell, is one of the most powerful motivators your nervous system can produce. John Eastwood, a psychologist at York University, spent years studying boredom in the lab. What he found flipped everything people assumed about it. Boredom is not a passive state. It is a highly active one. When you are bored, your prefrontal cortex is working hard, searching for a target, looking for a reason to engage. The discomfort is not an accident. It is a signal. And that signal, when it finds no outlet, builds and builds until something gives. The question is what? Go back 80,000 years. A small group of anatomically modern humans are sitting near the edge of a forest somewhere in what is now South Africa. They have eaten. The predators are far away. The children are asleep. And there is nothing to do. Nothing to do. For most animals, that would be a luxury. Most animals rest when they can. They do not have a prefrontal cortex that penalizes idleness. They do not have a brain that sits still and then starts asking uncomfortable questions about the future, about what else might be possible, about what happens if we try something different. Your ancestors did. And in that restlessness, in that unbearable itch of an unoccupied afternoon at the edge of the forest, something began to happen. Someone picked up a piece of ochre and pressed it against a rock wall. Someone discovered that certain seeds, scattered in one place, came back as food. Someone sat with a flint stone long enough to notice that the angle of the strike changed everything. Every invention that defines your world right now began as an answer to that itch. Sandy Mann, a researcher at the University of Central Lancashire, conducted a series of experiments that became impossible to ignore. She gave one group of participants a deeply boring task, copying numbers from a phone book for 20 minutes, and then tested their creativity. The bored group dramatically outperformed the control group. Their minds, starved of stimulation, had turned inward. They had begun to daydream. And daydreaming, it turns out, is not distraction. It is the brain rehearsing possibilities that do not yet exist. Your ancestors did not have phone books, but they had long nights, slow seasons, stretches of time with nothing to fill them, and they filled them anyway. That is how you got language. Not all at once, not in a single moment of genius, but in thousands of incremental nights where someone tried a new combination of sounds to mean something more precise than grunting, where someone discovered that a repeated pattern of sound could carry a story across time, where someone realized that if you shaped a sound a certain way, other people felt what you felt. That is how you got art. The oldest known cave paintings found in Sulawesi, Indonesia, are over 45,000 years old. They are not survival tools. They are not maps of food sources. They are paintings of pigs and buffalo and human hands. They are someone's answer to the question, what do I do now? That is how you got religion, philosophy, mathematics, and music. Not because someone had a plan, but because someone had too much time and a brain that punishes waste. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the psychologist who studied what humans do when they are at their best, coined the term flow to describe the state of complete engagement. But what he noticed, studying artists and surgeons and chess grandmasters and athletes, was that nearly every person he interviewed described a relationship with boredom that had shaped them. The long hours of practice no one wanted to watch. The afternoons in childhood with nothing structured to fill them. The restlessness that eventually caved in on itself and became obsession. Boredom is the pressure before the eruption. Now consider what happened in the 20th century. For tea,